In the book Looking Far West, The Search for the American West in History, Myth, and Literature, they write, more than any other American region, the Western frontier eludes definition because it is as much a dream as it is a fact, and its locale is never solely geographical. Before it was a place, it was a concept. Its characteristics were invented as much as they were discovered, and its history cannot be separated from its myths. Before it was the West, the people who lived there lived in a self-contained visionary world where the distant landscape, far from being the great unknown that would give impetus to the white dream of the West as a yonder, was to them a spiritual and literal home. The whole impulse behind their stories, their poems, even their economy was to erase the line between what was mythical and what was real. As the Pawnee war song Testing the Vision asks, let us see, is this real, this life I am living? Ye gods who dwell everywhere, let us see, is this real, this life I am living? It's Horses on Film. Howdy, y'all, and welcome to episode 9 of Horses on Film. This is the podcast dedicated to determining the top 100 Westerns of all time. And we're using as our guide the IndieWire list that came out in 2024. From there, we're adding, subtracting, reconfiguring, hoping to get a list that we can be proud of. So thank you for joining us once again on our little journey through the West here. And happy Groundhog Day. I think we're into February now when this airs. Let me bring in my guests, Dave and Scott. Dave and Scott, happy Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
It's Groundhog Day.
Did you see your shadow?
I see my shadow every day, and I hide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably.
One of the things I want to point out, I'm watching the intro. I don't think we've ever said it before, but Cameron does the intro for every episode, and they're fantastic. And I'm watching this, and I don't know. I just finished the movie, and I'm full of emotions. That's right, emotions. And
we got him. We got him in the opening.
Oh yeah, no, but I don't think we've ever mentioned, like, Dave runs the production, and Cameron puts it together, and I just show up hopefully with jokes. So no,
well, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. And yeah, thank you. Yeah, that one it was I was recording, and right in the middle of it, the laundry started going and water rushed down the wall, and there was all these noises, and I listened back. I'm like, I don't really hear those, so it must do a pretty good job filtering that stuff out. But anyway, yes, that
fabulous.
is.
I give it 5 stars. All the horses.
Yes,
all the horses. All the horses. Six for the shooter. If we honorary branding, honorary system.
Some of those shots are from A Duel in the Sun, or The Duel in the Sun, and it so many horses. I mentioned in the last episode too. I've never seen more horses between this movie that we're covering today and that movie. We're being spoiled, but it's all good. Last week we did Once Upon a Time in the West, and pretty good. It now it's number 2 on the IndieWire list. It's now sitting in the number 2 position for us. An average rating of 4.16 out of 20.
What's number 1?
What's that?
What's number 1 for us?
Oh, still Unforgiven.
Still Unforgiven.
Unforgiven's hanging in there. I think it's a 4.25. So it's going to be tough to dethrone, but I still think it's coming.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
This episode we're covering a very popular movie, and it's one of those ones we've talked about is the opposite of
like the Baedekers, which are these small little contained. Even Rio Bravo was a small-ish. Unforgiven kind of comparatively feels like a small movie. This is a big epic movie. This is spans a great amount of time, traverses across this great American land of ours. How the West Was Won is another one, and I think it was one of his main inspirations. There's other ones that do this big. In your heart of hearts, is that what you're looking for, Dave, when you sit down to watch a Western? Is it these big adventures?
Usually I prefer the smaller ones.
Okay.
That's been a pretty consistent thing, I think, as we've gone through the last 9 episodes. It has been, why is this movie not 90 minutes or less?
Yeah.
That has been my fairly consistent comment.
Something to be said for those 78-minute Westerns that Bud Bedecker put out. How about you, Scott? What are you thinking?
So it's weird because you talk about, I think this is the longest movie we've done so far. And to point out, we were talking about before, is we all ended up watching the extended edition. So not only was it the original release, as I was pointing out before, was 3 hours. So the extra hour on this one, but we'll get into it. But I actually think it worked. And I don't remember if I watched when this movie came out, I was 7. So too. So, but I do remember watching it, and then I have never seen it since. So I literally about 5 minutes before I sat down here, finished it because it is a long 4 hours. But I'm happy I watched it again. My views on it most definitely changed.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I think we should get into it.
I think so.
Because I think we have a lot to talk about, and our episodes are getting longer and longer with each episode. So let's try to get right into it then.
All right, so we'll put up some nice art here.
I like that one.
Yeah,
yeah.
I gotta say, I love how you've just added poster over top of poster up over poster.
I noticed it last week. I was like, oh, I like this.
It's gonna get really thick when we get to number 97.
I love it. All right, so let's put on some mood music and start talking about Dances with Wolves.
Inside everyone is a frontier waiting to be discovered. Wounded Civil War soldier John Dunbar tries to commit suicide and becomes a hero instead. As a reward, he's assigned his dream post, a remote junction on the western frontier, and soon makes unlikely friends with the local Sioux tribe.
Yes, we're talking Dances with Wolves, 1990, directed by Kevin Costner. It was his directorial debut. Screenplay by Michael Blake, based on a novel of the same name written by Blake. It was Costner that said, "You're frustrated with this format of screenwriting. Make it a book. From the book, then we'll make it a screenplay," and it works, I think. Stars Kevin Costner, Mary McDonnell, and Graham Greene. Shot July through November 1989 in South Dakota and Wyoming. Music by English composer John Barry. Nominated for, this is maybe the most of what we've seen so far, 12 Oscars. Won 7 of them, including Best Picture, Best Director, Adapted Screenplay, Cinematography, Film Editing, Original Score, and Sound. The list of awards and accolades has its own Wikipedia page because it seems to go on and on and on and on. It's a lot of people's favorite movie of all time. I think our guest today has it as his number 1 movie on Letterboxd. Our guest today, Mark Cogan, filmmaker, location scout. There he is. Newish Canadian, came here from Ireland. Mark, is this your number 1 favorite movie of all time?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Oh, there we go. That's fantastic. So did you see this in the theater as a
I did not. I was 10 years old when this came out. I did not see it in the theater. I remember my sister did and came home raving about it. And but I was too young to see it in the theater, believe it or not. So I didn't see it until home video, probably a year later. I think, or 1991, I would have seen it for the first time.
It had a big, as successful as it was box office. It had a huge home video. And was it a double VHS?
Not in Europe. No, here I believe it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here it definitely was.
Yeah.
I
'cause
seem to
anything that, like-
remember. I
'cause
seem to
that-
remember renting it, and it was a double VHS. Yeah. But so in Europe, did you get a shorter cut then? Is that the?
No, you know what I think that is? Because it's the same with infamously Titanic as a double VHS in North America, but not elsewhere. It has to do with the PAL and the NTSC encoding, I believe,
Okay.
is what makes the NTSC slightly longer.
So they can fit more on the PAL. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Learning.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. We're getting very international.
More to
It's a
know.
very international list, and we have to get some international flavor in there. Well, thanks for coming here, Mark. I'm excited to have you. Dave, you watched this, and again, you watched the extended cut that we all watched, which is bordering 4 hours. What was your initial takeaway?
My going into this, I'm like, oh god, this is 4 hours. Not realizing it was the extended cut because I haven't watched it in 2 decades plus.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is gonna take me at least 2 days, maybe 3. I'm gonna have to stop, digest, go away. And I didn't. I did have to stop because I got interrupted. But I came back to it the same day. And it wasn't a huge interruption. It wasn't like hours long. I basically watched it in a sitting with an intermission, and there is an intermission in it, which is kind of fun.
That's one sitting. I mean, the doorbell rings, the phone rings sometimes. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
basically one sitting. When I watched this sometime last year, my letterbox review is that it took me like 12 sittings and 5 different devices. Like I was getting shuffled around the house. My son wanted to play video games. I moved to the bedroom, and then I'll finish on my phone. Like I was all over the place. And even with all that, it never occurred to me that it was the longer of the 2 versions. Yeah. But I guess that's the one I'm most familiar with now, having seen it 3 or 4 times in the last couple years. I do remember seeing it as a kid. You're right, Mark. I don't know that I saw it in the theater either. We're the same age, and I definitely remember renting the double VHS and having a moment where I was like, "This is on 2 VHS." Like it was a big deal as a kid. But it's great, and it really kind of has a tone and a flavor, an authenticity that you don't necessarily. Like it's consistent, and you don't necessarily see other movies that feel like this. Would you guys say that's true?
Definitely. It's got I couldn't tell you what that feeling is, but it definitely has its own unique feel to it. That is Dances with Wolves, period.
Do you think Mark, you know a lot about Kevin Costner, and is it just Kevin Costner that makes it that? Is this just how he speaks?
I think it definitely, more than a lot of Westerns, has a sense of where it is more than anything. Like you really get that it's not a John Ford Western. It's not a Monument Valley desert Western. The fact that it's a Plains Western, I think, is pretty not unique, but it definitely brings that to the forefront more than any movie I'd ever seen before that. The waving grass and the endless skies and stuff, I think, is, when I think of that to me is the Dances with Wolves feeling. And I do think what's interesting is so the book that it's based on is actually set in Texas. It's Comanche. It should be a desert Western, but he made that decision that he would rather it be, I think he had some kind of love for South Dakota that he said, I want it to be here, as opposed to where it was in the novel. So a lot of what makes it unique, it definitely is a lot because of Kevin Costner. Yes.
I think I saw that the writer too got kind of obsessed with the buffalo culture.
Yes.
And these buffalo riders, and that probably pushed them in this direction too. And I don't think it's one of those things like we talked about the thicket switching from the Spanish desert to Calgary for like production reasons. I don't think it was production reasons. I think they really wanted this look.
Yes, I think so. And it wasn't something that had such an enormous budget that they would have had the luxury to go anywhere they wanted. So I think it was definitely very specifically sought out. Yeah.
It's funny, we talk a lot about, these when a movie, in Hollywood, the joke Mark and I always make is whenever something's shooting in Calgary, and things are shooting here constantly, people need to kind of know that, like, there's been film here since the 50s and it's been very constant. But whenever Hollywood comes to town, we make that joke a lot where it's like, oh, Hollywood, they'll get on the news and be like, Hollywood has come to town and Leonardo DiCaprio is doing his latest wilderness western in Calgary.
Another sign of our growing film industry.
Our growing film.
I was waiting for the growing, because you hear that all the time.
It's always growing. Yeah. But this one was literally, they went to like Pierre, and this is in the days where they're paying people with cash, and it was such a cultural impact that the bank was struggling to supply enough money to pay out all these people. Like it really, like, this is the story of Hollywood coming to a town and hiring everybody and renting every hotel room. And
I'm from Southern Alberta, and so like it's weird because they're like doing like big open vista shots, and I was like, I think I used to walk past that on my way to school and or work. like it just, and you're talking about the desert setting, and I was like, I feel there's a scene where the buffalo get, the first time we get the buffalo, and they're all skinned, and they're sitting there, and you said the desert. I was like, the desert to me always feels like dead. Like that's kind of like it's, and so to put death on death with prairie, I always feel like it's struggling life. It's like a desert, but we have grass and stuff, and depending on what the weather does. And so for a Western, I always like it because then it feels like we're not in an environment that we know is harsh. It's up to something that isn't in our power, the weather. And I think that says a lot, and this movie uses it really well. Actually, I found myself really invested in this one. So
you really get that strong sense of the frontier. Like, this is,
yes,
not necessarily untouched land, but you're entering land where they haven't got a lot of visitors, and this is very limited contact with the white people coming in, and
it's, I think it's summed up really well with the character, actually. I can't remember his name. I literally just finished the movie. I can't remember. The wagon guy he rides out to the fort with. Timmins, that's it. And so he talks about how he's a very unpleasant man and whatever. And but what caught me off guard was when his last words are pretty much, "Don't hurt my mules." And I felt that was a metaphor for like the land, which is like, it's going to come for you, but try to do your best to not hurt anything. Like it's such a weird, I found myself like, except for Spivvy, that man could go. But like I was happy when that happened, but I actually don't really like, everyone in this movie is great. Like I really enjoyed this movie a lot. And you can see it, and it's the care in it. It reminded me of, I had two thoughts, which is every time we refer to Avatar as Dances with Wolves in Space is too dismissive. Avatar is not that good.
That's true.
It's like, I was like, wow, that is. And number two is, it reminded me of Braveheart, which
similar time frame.
Scottish, not Irish, but that Mel Gibson comes in, directs, acts, does the thing, and then he does his Waterworld with the Patriot. I like Waterworld, but like I think Waterworld gets really like pooped on. But I really like this. I'm watching this being like, what happened to Kevin Costner that he has to do Yellowstone? Like this is good. Like,
he got divorced. That'll do it.
I think money happened to Yellowstone. Was a paycheck, I'm sure. So.
Oh, sure. I mean, and it made a lot of money, and it's very popular. And he was probably thinking, I really want to do these Horizon movies, and I need to kind of get back in the.
He's a little long-winded in what he does. So
yeah, he certainly, and I think as a personally, I've never met him. Mark, have you met him?
No.
I've heard that he kind of speaks in a strange way, and it kind of carries himself in a strange way, but a good way, like a really kind of soothing, kind of calm way. I think he is a little bit long-winded in a way, you know what I mean? Like he's a little poetic, a little romantic.
All of the movies he's directed, none of them are the magic 90 minutes. They're all considerably longer than that. And I heard a quote from him, I think it was after The Postman came out, which is a movie that I like very much. I know most people don't, but someone said, "Oh, why are your movies so long, the movies you direct?" And he said, "Not all stories can be told in the same amount of time."
Sure.
I think that's a really sensible way to, and he's right, because would a 90-minute version of Dances with Wolves be as effective? I do not believe it would be.
No, and certain books, nobody says, well, War and Peace, like books are like, you're given extra love if it's a little longer or a part of a series or things like that, and I don't know if movies, because you do kind of have to, they are kind of a one sitting thing. You certainly in the theater, I think it doesn't get the same leeway that a book would.
No, it's funny. We mentioned multiple sit-ins, and I breezed through this thing. I actually found it really, but like movies, like I bring pacing up a lot. Like every time I watch 2001, I watch in like 15-minute spurts. I'm like, it's so slow. I know, crucify me for that one if you want. It's a great movie. I enjoy it, but I can't.
It is straight and it is slow. Yes.
Yeah, The Longest Day, the John Wayne World War. It was The Longest Day when I watched that, but I enjoyed the movie. That's just, but like in chunks. This I found myself glued to, and I'm sitting here thinking, what did they cut for the theatrical version? That everything, like, I assume it's the Vista shots and all this stuff, but I found that really charming and helped the story. And I feel like watching a lesser version, or a shorter version would be a lesser version of this movie. So
yeah, Mark, you were mentioning that it's not really new scenes in the
yes, so because I'm way more familiar with the regular version, and it's primarily extended scenes, and the only so the scene that you mentioned, Cameron, with the commander at the fort before he arrives there and his men, where we see them desert, which is actually a very important scene. I don't know why it was cut from the regular one. And then there's plenty of scenes of him getting to know the Lakota and fitting in with them, but there's primarily quite a few more of those, and his relationship with Stands with the Fist evolves much slower in the extended version. That's mainly what it is.
Slower.
Yeah. And I did see that scene at the base with them deserting, and it did cross my mind that that's a cuttable scene, because it's more mysterious. He comes there and
exactly, yeah,
and it's like, nobody's here, but there's all these supplies. These deer were shot, not like obviously they weren't wanting for anything, but they left here for some reason.
But wouldn't that then, I think we naturally assume then that it would have been attacked and they were killed, but then the bodies whatever.
There would have been bodies. Yeah.
I like the idea that the army has given up on us. It feels like, and so we're going to give up on the army and go. And I think that helps tell the story actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like it kind of lays the groundwork for what John is moving into.
And I feel like whoever that commander was peering out through the cracks of the thing had possibly lost his mind. Like I feel like there's a little bit of prairie madness
when you
involved in.
You see that in the first major we see too, right?
Yeah, Maury Chaykin.
Which I like him a lot, and that whole scene was so weird, and then it caps off. I felt that was fast, actually, to go from like to
that was a very surprising.
It's pretty shocking. Yeah.
And And also, actually, Mark pointed this out prior to us starting record. With him dead and with Timmons dead, that's the clue. And this never occurred to me anytime I've watched this. That's the clue that nobody really knows that he's out there, that he's at that post, and he's waiting for reinforcements to come, not knowing that the people that sent him out there and the people that took him out there are all dead.
Yeah.
That's a very good observation that had never occurred to me in the few times I've watched this. That's cool.
I like it because then it kind of he is free in a weird way. Like he's making his own destiny. He doesn't know that he's been kind of like unchained from this like apparatus, and he's so far away from what would have been Western culture, like Western, like Eastern Europe, Western European coming over. That he's his own, and you see that between Two Socks. I want to say Cyril is the horse. Cisco, that's it. Cisco. And then you get this dance, metaphorically and physically, I guess, in a weird way, with nature and him, and he's fighting, and he's getting back to his roots, and he's anxious. He wants to be out there. They talk about that. He's like, no, I want to be out there. I want to see these things. Mm-hmm. And it feels like it's expectations versus reality, the movie. And I really enjoyed that. I think it's something that more movies could do better. And some movies try and just fail. But I think this one, I kind of want to watch the shorter version and be disappointed. I feel like I already feel I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, you mentioned Avatar, and sometimes Fern Gully is the other one, and that actor that plays Timmons was in both this and Fern Gully, which I thought was.
I didn't realize that.
And Murphy Brown, he's great on Murphy Brown.
That's where I recognized him from. Actually, oddly enough, I didn't. I was like, hey, it's him. Stands with Fist was the president in Battlestar Galactica. That caught me off guard.
He was. Yeah,
I saw
she
that.
Had the same hair, I think. So
I don't think she had done much prior to this. I think she was kind of an unknown face prior to this, other than maybe like theater and.
I think she gets second or third billing too. So it's like they respected who she was.
I do appreciate there was one thing he mentioned that like he didn't meet a girl, he met a grown woman. You know, she's older than him. It would have been a very easy Hollywood thing to, you know, Pocahontas, that, you know, a little, you know, it is sort of strange that it's a white woman. It's another, you know, white woman in the living among the native stories. Sometimes this gets a criticism as being like a white savior movie. It gets brought up mostly by people that haven't seen it in a long time. Do you see it as that? I understand that it's not from the point of view of the natives as much as it could be. But he doesn't really save them in any way, shape, or form. And
if anything, they save him.
They save him. Yeah, I was like,
yeah. It's like a rescue job. Who rescued who?
Yeah, I can see why people who haven't watched it or haven't watched it in a long time would make that criticism. On the surface, that's what it looks like. If you watch, you know, a trailer for it, that's probably what you would take away from it.
That was my impression before coming back into it.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought it was going to be more of that.
Yeah, when you watch it, absolutely not.
After Blindside, I think there's this is nowhere near the Blindside or that whole like Dangerous Minds stuff. This is quite the whole time he's writing about, and the narrative parts when he's like, these people are awesome. I hope they like me. Like this is, but if they don't, bummer. Kind of like it's like this is like there's a respect and a reverence, and then literally in the end they save him. And that's on the girl thing. When he's washing his clothes, he talks, the whole song he's singing is about meeting a girl, and then eventually he meets a woman, and and when you hear her backstory, how she got her name, what is like, no, it's not just a woman, it's a strong, like this is someone who they respect. and has come around. Like I think the white savior thing, it gets thrown around just to dismiss, and I don't feel it's fair to apply that to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think when people bring that up, I think it's specifically referring to the fact that when they go to war with the Pawnee, that he with his weapons is basically so they defeat them. I think, but that's a very narrow way to look at it. I think you're right. It's like I really do think it's more about them saving him than anything else.
He uses math. Every one rifle will turn a warrior into two.
You're right. Yeah.
Like, and it's just tools. If you get mad at me because I use like I give a sword to someone and they use that sword, it doesn't mean I'm saving them. I'm giving you the tools to save yourself.
He's empowering them in ways that the people that were attacking them were fairly powerful too. You know,
right?
Scott, you mentioned the voiceover. Is there, or like him kind of narrating? Mark, is there a version of this without voiceover, or is the voiceover kind of throughout every version?
No, it's always been there. Yes, yeah. Okay. I did read it when it was being developed from the book to the screenplay that I think Michael Blake couldn't make it work without the narration. I think I read that somewhere once, and for me, that's one of my favorite things about it. It makes it so personal. Like you're just you're there with him. You're thinking getting his thoughts the whole way through is one of my favorite things about it. How personal it is.
I think without it, he'd be talking to the wolf. In order to get those thoughts and feelings, and I think my favorite parts of the voiceover are when we see him actually writing. And when he mentions,
he's making the doodles,
and when he's talking about Graham Greene and how much he really likes that guy, and you can see him actually write it. My least favorite part of the voiceover is when the book's not present, and there's a few moments where he is narrating, in those moments after the book has fallen into the hands of the army, but before it comes back to him, kind of thing. There's a few moments where I'm like, oh, I wish there was no voiceover in this section, or maybe even early on to when he does his Civil War suicide attempt, and then when that first bit of voiceover where he says, it turned me into a living hero, and they've given me this horse and all these things. I feel like maybe that. So I could see people hearing that part of the voiceover and then turning on it and not liking it.
That opening sequence is easily my least favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't get why he's trying to kill himself and then why he's a hero because of that. It feels like it belongs in a different movie or something.
It's also a little bit of, this is extreme
Jesus complex going on there too.
Yeah, I'm putting a bit of an extreme tint on this, but it's a very anti-disabled message that he would unintentionally, maybe he would rather die than
live without his foot.
Live without his foot.
Yeah.
Which I think in the 90s, when certain people saw that, they probably thought, what a heroic point of view. And that's maybe that you're right. It's the weirdest scene. It opens the movie, and it takes a while to kind of get away from that, but it does kind of put a weird taste. And if anyone says, "Oh, that movie doesn't age well," which I think it does age very, very well. If anyone says that movie doesn't age well, maybe that's what they're looking at. Is that
it's funny?
It also is in the regular version of the movie. It's one of the sequences that's pared down quite a bit from the extended version you just watched. So
we just talked about There Will Be Blood, and I'm picturing in my head Daniel Day-Lewis like breaking his own ankle to get in character, because like that feels like something he would do. And I'm just like I picture he would do that, but like it's so weird because it does feel like it's between him and then the first major that kills himself. Different movie. Like really does. Like it doesn't fit. It wasn't until the coffee grinder sugar scene, which I really liked actually, that I felt like, oh no, I'm going to really like this. I'm going to, it's funny because I pictured like if I'd never seen like he's sitting there and he's like smiling away. They can't even talk to each other really yet. And then he's looking at the sugar, being like, I don't know what it is. He's trying. He's like, oh no, I like this. This is good. And he's like throwing it in the glasses. He's like, no, you're gonna like this too.
Well, I feel like the mantra of this whole project is that gap in communication, right? And definitely we've seen in other movies where Native Americans are just speaking English, and it just that whole disconnect from how these people are trying to communicate with each other would be lost on that. Now, there are other movies that came before this where they used,
Enemy
First
Mine?
Nations.
Or
what's that?
I said Enemy Mines, the one where is it Dennis Quaid crashes on the planet with the alien and they're trying to.
Oh, that's sci-fi. Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, and that's the whole gist. Yeah, I know. I just like called out a weird semi-obscure 80s movie. But
that's okay. Yeah,
it wasn't Star Wars this time.
That's true. We've gone this long without mentioning Star Wars. That could be the first, but
and it's
Star Wars movie. No.
In the new Mandalorian, he's trying to talk to Grogu. But like that, I love that framework where it's we are not understanding as well, or we're watching it and we're like in that position. That's why I think the coffee grinder is really good, is because like I understand how that thing works. I believe there's a large part of the audience probably understands how that thing works too, but it'd be a large part of modern people who would look at that thing like they would like a landline telephone or the rotary, would be like, I don't understand what this is and how to use it. And so you get that across. The idea that not knowing what sugar is today is probably unfathomable by most people, but like back then it was like, it's like when you say like wars are fought over salt and people are like, really? I'm like, yeah, no, it used to be a lot harder. like it's.
Yeah. And I feel like they would have had, sweets of some kind, like they'd be familiar with that because there's obviously fruit and berries and maybe even maple syrup and saps and stuff that they would probably, the one thing, giving them their Lakota language, and there's obviously they got a lot of praise for that. They got some criticism here and there. It is a complicated gendered language, and they only did the female thing side of it, which is fine. Like obviously that's probably a very good joke for people.
If you speak Lakota, it's hilarious to watch.
It's probably hilarious, yeah. But for us, it gave it this sense of this is a society. These are real people, and I think that was at its most simplest boiled down. This was the message of this film, that it wasn't savage land. It was this, and not necessarily, ultra peaceful people, but there was a society going on here, and there was religion, and there was backstory and all these things. And I think to see Kevin Costner's character discover that sometimes gets criticism too, but these early people that were out there alone, they were told a certain thing. They were told to expect a certain thing. And I think legitimately they would have been surprised to see that, like, they're funny and they're caring about their children, like it was eye-opening for him in a way that maybe is a little embarrassing for us, but
they show that when he's going back to get the journal, and you can tell, because again, America, it's Indian, but they say Injin, and it's such a not only is Indian derogatory, but it's such a derogatory, like a slur on a slur kind of thing, right? Like and they start shooting at him, like they don't even stop, they're just like, get him. And that, I think, that's his, because we spend 3.5 hours, we'll say 3 hours minus the beginning, where we're really in that culture, we're really learning, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, there's this other culture that's invading this territory, really, and we get this harsh reality of it again, and it feels kind of like Blazing Saddles, where it's just like, let's point out that these people are not great, and it's done in a way that I felt worked really well.
Yeah.
I saw a behind the scenes shot when they were preparing to shoot the scene where he stands with a fist back to them. She's wounded herself in grief. And then they grab her and kind of drag her. And that's the first time that he goes to their village and really reveals himself to them. And as they're getting ready to roll, they've got all the background extras there, and they've got the main players getting ready to do the thing. And the first AD yells out, "Okay, no laughing, no smiling," and we're rolling. And that really hit something in my memory, because I remember specifically shooting Little House on the Prairie. We did a Little House on the Prairie miniseries years and years ago, 2004. And there was a scene where the little girls kind of run into these 4 native scouts. And it's meant to be this very scary moment of these, wild looking natives, that there's these 4 of them and they're out hunting. And you're supposed to really, I'm sure in the score, it was be fearful of these scary strangers, and these little girls are looking up at them. And the 4 guys that came out to play those roles were the funniest 4 guys, and they were laughing, and they had us in stitches. I think one of them was a legitimate stand-up comedian, and they were having so much fun, and they loved being in the outfits, and they loved the makeup and the feathers and the hair, and they were just having the time of their lives. And I remember specifically the director saying, "Don't laugh, don't smile. This isn't supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be scary." And it's such a strange thing that they went through the same thing on that set, that these guys were out, they were extras, they were working, they were having fun. I think they hired 150 locals, and they were having the time of their life on this set. And then for them to be "No, remember, you got to be afraid of this guy. You got to be scared in this moment, or scary towards him." It just brought back good memories for me.
No, it's one of those ones where I think we any chance. My partner's Métis, and she watched the last hour with it. She got home today, and I turned and I asked, I'm like, "Is this culturally? Where do you see that?" Because I'm, sometimes I'm an ignorant white guy. I get it, but she's watching. She's like, "I don't remember it being this kind of I'm going to use the word faithful in a weird way. It's not derogatory. It's not pulling down." And it's funny because Graham Greene, in the movie Maverick, I think we mentioned on the last one too. There's that scene again, or I mentioned every once in a while, with the Russian, and he's playing it up, and he goes, "This is just how they see us, so we're going to just do it this way." And then just and here he's actually doing it. And I was like, but in my head, I was like, no, this whole thing is just so. And I could be wrong, but I feel like they really tried to be no, these are a culture and a people, not a stereotype.
And that's just it. They really tried, and it was a real effort. And I think they get applauded for their effort, and maybe, people come down on them a little bit for where they fell short. But for the most part, they tried, Scott, you mentioned earlier that some of these vistas reminded you of just kind of where you grew up. And there's a couple shots at the end of Kevin Costner with that sky behind him. It was in that intro I did, that beautiful sky. We're a little spoiled here. We get that all the time.
The time.
And almost every one of our sunsets looks just like that. And we know how spoiled we are, but Mark, growing up in Ireland, is this why you moved here?
Did you grow up in Braveheart, but it was Ireland, not Scotland?
pretty much. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean that's one of the big things, and one of the reasons I've always loved westerns is that it's this kind of yearning for, the big wide west, the huge sky, a landscape where the horizon is so far away. You don't know how far away that is. That first, you grow up in such a compact place like I did. It's very beautiful, but it's very compact. And you can't even comprehend that kind of distance. And when, that movie, for sure, the first time seeing this was the movie I had been waiting for. To think that a place like this actually could exist. And yes, it absolutely is. I wanted to live where Westerns were. Yes, that is why I ended up here.
Yeah.
Yes,
I love
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the awards it won was cinematography. And I can't, I've looked at that class from this year, and yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Now, as for Best Picture, there was a few in there. Goodfellas. pretty good
Goodfellas.
movie.
It's like why do all the great ones have to come along at the same time? Because
Right.
I don't think Goodfellas should win over Dances personally. I think
No.
Dances with Wolves is a Best Picture, but yeah, it's unfortunate when so many great ones come along at the same time. I agree. Yeah.
Another one they won was Score, and the score is beautiful. Again, looking at the class of the awards that year, Home Alone came out this year.
Home Alone is really good. The music in that, I think, because we're always Kevin's Rube Goldberg is what gets the attention, but the music in Home Alone is fantastic.
I think the Home Alone score is one of my favorite scores of all time.
I would agree. But I do think this one, like in terms of the perfect score for the perfect movie, I think this one, even though it's as John Barry music goes, it's borderline not original. Like he had a very distinct style, and he was known for what we say
recycling,
borrowing from himself quite a bit, because
so does John Williams though.
Sometimes and James Horner, all the greats did it, but that one in particular, people play Out of Africa all the time and say, oh, there's the theme from Dances with Wolves. So like no, it's because you can hear where they would almost just flow into each other without really noticing. But I do think it's distinct enough that he deserved the award. I really do believe that.
Well, when I think of a Best Picture, or let's go with Best Picture. I think of everything coming together perfectly. And one of the things you guys are talking about the score, and it didn't stand out to me both ways. It didn't, and because every time the music kicked in, I was like, no, that's the right music for this scene. This is paired correctly. This is scored spot on. Like, it's not with a lot of the movies I like, music stands out. A lot of Trent Reznor, Atticus Finch, or Ross Finch's To Kill a Mockingbird. But I can tell it's their music. My partner and I play a game of is it Trent or not when music comes on, because it just sounds like their stuff. This, every time the Vista came in and the music came in, I was just like, I'm soothed. I'm in for this. This is
if it feels like it's all one and the same, that the music couldn't exist without the image,
whole
the image couldn't exist without the music,
Yeah.
then it sort of does its job. That's sort
the
of
cast and crew are firing on all cylinders. They're all on the same page. They're making this movie, and it's just working. And
kind of what I said.
Positively.
Kind of what I said about the tone being so consistent. I really feel, and maybe that's the mark of a Best Picture, because we have a few, I think, on this list. There's 2 or 3 of them. I think it's that singular vision, and this is a movie that feels like a singular vision, that Costner had this thing to say, and everybody got on board, and they wrote it right in a perfect synchronization. Yeah.
And it's impressive that it was his first directorial, like,
Absolutely.
it was what now?
Yeah, and then there was a little concern. I imagine it's probably what made it a little hard to raise money for. But the producer said after day 1 or shot 1, he just kind of went, "Oh, this guy has it," Like there's times, and you'll see it when we get to the Tombstone episode, where the director gets to set and you realize, oh, he doesn't have it. He doesn't know, he doesn't, like, simple things like, we shoot this way, we get everything, and then we shoot this way, little things like that, where, I mean, he had been on set, he had worked in production, he was a pretty accomplished actor at the time. I think he's very in his element, he's very comfortable, and I think he did a great job.
One of the other ones is, so one of my favorite movies, and I'm putting it on tape, I do believe this is my favorite of the 4, is Aliens 3. Yeah, I know I said it. but that was where the director knew what he was doing, David Fincher, but the studio comes in and goes and kind of meddles behind the scenes. I think this is where like you're saying, the producer's like, no, if there was any going to be studio meddling, the producer would be like, no, leave them alone, let them cook, kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
And that says a lot. And I think that's why you get Waterworld and The Postman, and you don't get Horizon, but you get he gets to get out there and make these other movies, right?
Mhm.
So
Mark, did you see Horizon?
I did. I love
Yeah,
it.
the first one. Yeah, I loved it too, and it's too much movie to movie, like when it gets to the end, and I thought, oh my god, this is not one of two, this is one of four. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, because they do that little montagey thing at the end, and you kind of go, oh yeah, there's a lot of story here.
Yeah.
It definitely is. It takes this idea and takes it to another level.
Oh, big time.
Maybe unsuccessfully in a lot of ways, but for the most part, I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if theatrical is the best avenue for that, and I don't mean that in any kind of derogatory way, but it had a lot of its beats and pacing felt kind of TV miniseries ish as opposed to feature, which is not a bad thing at all. But I want to see the second one. Apparently, it's even better. So.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be 8 hours. That sounds like an HBO miniseries to me.
Yeah.
Really.
But very well.
I feel because he was going through the rigmarole on season 5 of Yellowstone. I'm not going to come back. I'm going to do. I feel like there was a bet that like you can't do what we do anymore and whatever. And he's like, not only am I going to do that, I'm going to do it on the biggest screen.
Feature,
the most screens. I'm going to do this. And then all of a sudden the first one came out because he's shot the first 2. He hasn't done 3 and 4 yet, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden the first one just kind of like, and then the second one gets pulled from release, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe this is
But the first one, as soon as it went on streaming, it was the #1 thing on there for like 3 straight months, because that's the avenue that people were probably more comfortable with watching it in. So.
That's probably where, like you say, that's where it should be, and where maybe it should have started. But
some hubris might play a role in why it made the theater instead of the smaller screen. But I always saw it as, especially once it was 8. I'm making an 8-hour movie, and I'm going to cut it into 4 parts. I was like, oh no, that was a TV series that you just want to put on bigger screens. Like it's just so.
And there was a little bit of that. I mean, when we're talking Dances with Wolves, 1990, it was kind of jokingly called Kevin's Gate in reference to Heaven's Gate, kind of killing that idea. What was that, 1980? Kind of killed that idea of the big spectacle Western in the theater. And Westerns were really still on TV at the time. And like, did this kind of brought back that idea of Westerns in the theater? And did this make Unforgiven possible? And another one, Last of the Mohicans, and things like that. Like, this. Sorry, go.
Yeah, because you can count on like one hand the number of theatrical Westerns that came out in the 1980s after, and everyone blames Heaven's Gate for that. That probably is the main reason, but which made getting this made even more, the fact that he got this made at all. And yes, they were calling it Kevin's Gate or Fish Tar during. That's Waterworld.
Yeah, Fish Tar.
Yeah. But and then it was the first Western to win Best Picture since Cimarron, which had been 60 years before that, and then only 2 years until Unforgiven. Like, you had them right close together there. So
and there was a big resurgence of 90s Westerns.
Yes.
I didn't watch it, but Lonesome Dove went to as a TV series. I was wondering if you watched it, did it feel like it could have been a movie that they brought to, like, I think it was ABC or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the opposite of Horizon, where they chose to tell a big story and started it on TV, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Because it's one of, if you wanted to do Lonesome Dove as a theatrical movie, you would tear the guts out of it, because there's so many, it's so episodic, it really wouldn't work as a movie. It works perfectly as a miniseries.
And interesting enough, the Deadwood movie ended up just going. I think it was on streaming. I don't remember it going to.
It went straight to
Yes, but I feel like that could have probably, based on the fact that the movie and there was a yearning. I don't think it was as good as. Oh, sorry, a TV series. I don't think it was as good as the TV series, but I wasn't mad watching it. But I as we talk about how the modern distribution works, we have examples where maybe they could have been done the other way around.
Given how popular that show was, it probably could have had at least a limited run in the theaters. Yeah.
That was one of the not Deadwood, but Lonesome Dove was one of the things when Cowboys and Indians did their 100 list. The first time they did it, Lonesome Dove ranked quite high. But then the second time they did it, they removed it altogether because they thought, okay, let's get rid of the miniseries stuff and just go with straight theatrical Westerns. So that was one of the things when they pared that down. This IndieWire list doesn't have any miniseries stuff or anything, but it's interesting that Dances with Wolves is not in 9th on the Cowboys and Indians list. Like out of 100, it's 9th, where like top 10, whereas this it's 78th. And I really feel that's insanely low, even for a movie that people assume didn't age well.
I feel there should be a group of people who make their own Western list that can rectify that.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. Should we get to some counts? Anything? We're going to get to, okay, so our first count, Mark, we do a horses on film count. It's either no horses, some horses, lots of horses, all the horses being you've kind of lost count. I feel like that's where we're at with this one. Is that?
Either I was going to say lots, but you're probably right. And given that Cisco is like the 5th lead in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you might as well, but he's great.
It's a horse-heavy movie for sure. Yeah.
And Cisco
comes over the ridge and sees all of them by the village, right? The camp.
Yes.
I was like, I lost count. I was like,
when they were moving to the winter camp and rounding all those horses, and it's definitely all the horses. It's all the buffalo too. That buffalo sequence was incredible.
If it's not a vista shot, it's a horse shot in this movie. So like it's
and like I said, Cisco dying and two stocks.
It's like,
and those are the biggest moments.
It has both of those deaths have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're like, oh well, maybe Two Socks could have survived, but no, it's necessary for you to really feel that this world is gone. It's over.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on the couch. I'm watching this. My partner's beside me. I'm tearing up, and I was like, I know it's a metaphor, but I wish this wasn't happening.
Every time, I still cry when Two Socks.
It's devastating. Devastating.
Yeah. It's this new life being just ripped from him by his old life, and it's such a good metaphor. And it's done. It doesn't feel heavy-handed either. It really does feel like, no, this is where we're at, and especially because Cisco keeps being like taken and returned, and like it's this push and pull of a character. I think saying he's like the 5th lead is 100% correct.
Yeah, I'd almost give him second billing. And
Graham Greene is so good.
He's so good, and that moment when Graham Greene says, "I saw his sex," and and he might be a god. It stands out. That's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, we joke a lot about who we've lost based on this, but I think Graham Greene might be one of the ones, maybe the top of the list for me at least.
Yeah, as we were prepping this, he passed away, and that one hurt.
That one actually hurt a lot, especially like in Canada. You like turn on CBC, Graham Greene shows up. It doesn't matter what it is, Graham Greene's going to be there. Like,
and I don't think I got a chance to work with him for all the, I did Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee and Dreamkeeper. I'll have to look, but I don't. Maybe that'll be in my mistakes on the next one. Maybe I did work with him, but I don't specifically remember meeting him or having a moment with him.
I feel he's the kind of guy that if you met him, you'd remember.
Yeah,
probably, and which is too bad because one of absolutely my favorites. So yeah. Okay, so we're at all the horses, Dave. You think all the horses? I think that's a good, because that's kind of our tiebreaker when if things in ratings, all the horses pushes it ahead of things. So that's great. as far as I'll just run some stats on the bison, there were 3,500 bison in that scene. 20 wranglers, 24 stunt riders, 150 extras. 2 of the bison they got from Neil Young. They were trained. There was one animatronic bison that cost $250,000, and I saw them in the behind the scenes footage just throwing that animatronic around in hilarious ways. It's worth watching that behind the scenes.
I'm picturing Bruce from Jaws, but like a buffalo instead.
Almost, but just imagine it like sliding down a piece of wood and crashing into the ground. It's really great. And one of the buffalo or bison, the one that charges at the
Smiles
young boy, smiles too much, obsessed with Oreo cookies. All you need to do is open a pack of Oreos and he'll charge at you. So that, as far as training, very good. There was 2 wolves used. This has kind of been said a million times, but they used 2 different wolves. Now I've shot with wolves even recently, and it's tricky. Wolves are very, very tricky to work with, and they're very food motivated. And you do have a very small window of time that you can get usable footage out of wolves. So I think that probably took, I mean, he's pretty heavy in this. 2 Socks is in a lot of stuff. And I think that probably took a lot of budgetary.
He's very food motivated in this as well. So that
probably. Yeah, probably. And one heck of a dancer. My latest Letterboxd review, I did say that this is a perfect movie up until he's white man dancing around that fire. I think that's maybe the one moment where it loses me a little. And Mark, as you pointed out, the kind of opening Civil War stuff is a little chunky too. But let's get into our ratings. What are we at for ratings, Mark? I think we probably know where you're going. So
if you're looking for an unbiased opinion, don't come here, because it's 5. It's 5 for me for sure.
That's a 5-star.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's not going to be number 1 on your Letterboxd without
exactly. It's my go-to, because people ask me about movies all the time. What's your favorite movie? And it's such a difficult question, because there's probably 10 that I love as much, but that is always the one that I say, because it's been my favorite for as long as I can remember. So yes.
Well, and it sounds like it impacted, like you say, move somewhere where it's less congested, right?
Yes.
Like that to have a movie have that kind of impact says a lot.
Absolutely. How about you, Scott? You just
I want to hear Dave's first. I already have
going to Dave. Okay, going to Dave.
So when I first watched it, I gave it 4 stars. Now that being said, I didn't realize I was watching the extended version,
right?
And was already mulling over, having watched other shows since that time, because I had access to this one earlier, so I watched it a little bit earlier. I think I'm giving it 4.5.
It's going up.
I'm going up.
Going up. All right.
Like
I agree.
I wanted to watch this again. I just don't have 4 hours to set aside to do that.
This was a 5 in my books, and but like I feel 4.5. Not because I want to give it. I feel at 4 hours, even at maybe 2-3 hours, it's a hard recommend for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you love film, this is an easy 5. Easy 5. It, like we're talking in the award section, everything just gels. It works. It does. I didn't mind the dancing around the fire scene, mostly because, again, the narration explains that he's trying to get back in contact of where the scene where he's sleeping. I couldn't sleep in the village that night after they attacked the other settlers, I guess. Says that there's like, that's him grappling. But then I actually don't. It's a 4.5 for me easily, and it's only because, again, I feel like it'd be easier to recommend the theatrical cut, but also I feel like you would see lesser movie for that. And
perhaps, we mentioned maybe before we started recording, but Costner wasn't involved in the longer version. he was busy on other shows, and that was something they put out as a commercial endeavor to get it back in theaters, and kind of in lieu of a sequel. Although Mark pointed out there is a sequel book, which you said is pretty good, Mark.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't like the ending of it. It's kind of a shock value ending, but story wise, it is pretty interesting. Yes, yeah.
But yeah, they said they would never make a sequel movie. Yeah. So in lieu of a sequel, they kind of put out this longer cut.
Finding that out makes me think of Forrest Gump, because Forrest Gump had a sequel, and everyone's like, the sequel book isn't as good, so we're not going to shoot it. Not saying I think this movie's better than Forrest Gump. Well, Forrest Gump,
which also won Best Picture.
Yeah, that one. Tom Hanks carries that movie. Yeah, I said it. But yeah, Cameron, what do you give it?
Well, that's, you guys were at 5. We got a couple 4.5s. I think I'm at a 4. I've rated this 4 several times, and now knowing that I was watching the extended cut, I am curious to see what a shorter version looks like. The only scene I saw where I thought, oh, you could have cut that, is that scene at the fort where the army deserts, and apparently that is cut out of the shorter one. Again, it's good with it. It's probably great without it. It's probably great with it. Like I just I don't really have any complaints. Everything I thought it was, it kind of wasn't.
Yes.
My preconceived notions of like, oh yeah, I saw that as a kid, it's probably this. It wasn't that at all. And it really kind of, I mean, you've made fun of me for how I romanticize the West. It romanticizes the West.
It does.
It definitely, I mean, my intro video is about the line between myth and reality. It definitely walks that line of myth and reality. That said, I think it has this authentic tone. I think they tried to do something special with this culture, and I think they succeeded in many, many ways. I think it's definitely not less than a 4. And so I don't know if it's a 5 for me, because it's not the type of Western I crave.
That's I didn't bring it up. I had it as a note, which was the movie we've reviewed so far that I think this is There Will Be Blood, which is, when we think of a Western, and I brought this up on that one too, we think of black hat, white hat, this town isn't big for the both of us, outlaws, we're putting a posse together, we're going to go around. That's not what this is. That's happening somewhere else. This is another, just like There Will Be Blood this is happening. That stuff might still be going on, but we're telling this story, which is about, this Confederate, Civil War
Northerner,
lieutenant trying to, especially because he has to go there, like that was part of it. I get to go wherever I want. I want to go see buffalo, and I want to go see the prairies. This feels, again, like this is a Western. We always talk about what is a Western is, but this is a Western. But again, it's not that, like the black hat versus the white hat kind of thing. And I really appreciated that.
Well, it's really that frontier. It's that exploration out into the frontier. And for anyone kind of craving that feeling, nothing gets it better than this, likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I picture the scene when they're first going into Deadwood, the TV series, where you're not, and they first show that, and there's that sense of awe and wonder of what comes next. I get that a lot in this movie.
One of the books I'm reading is the journals of Prince Maximilian of Wied. It's a great big thick book that we use as research a lot for the kind of early days. We had it in our office on the Revenant and a few things. The idea, it was this prince who was a naturalist and interested in animals and plants and cultures. He did an expedition in the 1700s, and he brought along Karl Bodmer, who was an artist. And the two of them set out kind of in the same path of Lewis and Clark, and they set out to find these cultures knowing that their time on this earth were limited.
Oh,
And they really wanted to document, and the Carl Bodmer paintings, I mean, we use them as research on almost every Western we do. They're so precise and beautiful and colorful, and they really get out to some of these First Nations cultures in the moments before they're touched by the expansive West. And watching this, I mean, I've been reading that book for a long time and marking it up, and I'm trying to adapt it into a screenplay. But watching this, I was so shook by the idea of I'm going to have to not copy everything they've already done, and B, these really are, that idea of making contact, that maybe not first contact, but early contact with these cultures. It's so important, and it was such an amazing moment that we may never see again. There's very few untouched places on this planet at this point. It's such a special thing to have documented at the time. It's such a special thing to have record of at all. Interestingly, Prince Maximilian of Vide's first expedition was to Brazil. And as he made contact with all these cultures, but as they were leaving, the cultures were like, no, you're food. Why are you leaving? Now we eat you. And he barely escaped with his life, and most of his crew was killed, and he almost got none of his specimens or samples out of there. So when he decided to go west again, it was hard putting together a crew because his first experience didn't go great. But yeah, I don't know that we'll ever get to that moment again where we're making first contact or early contact. And
oddly enough, in the film as well, they have the Conquistador helmet comes out.
Yes,
yeah. And I love that. I thought that was and they hold on to it as a relic, a cautionary tale, really, of my grandfather's grandfather. That kind of. I thought that was I feel like that probably gets cut in the shorter version.
I wonder, is that in every version?
I believe that's in the regular version as well.
I hope so, because I found it really. Yeah, I was quite. It took me back because I saw it come out. I was like, and then they explain how it makes sense. I was like, oh
yeah,
no,
the idea of like, oh yeah, these people have come before, but we endure.
Well, and it's funny because
I don't think it's any different this time, but
right.
But this is the last time.
Well,
right,
and I picture like we're holding on to their culture the same way they hold on to bits of what could be other cultures, treating it with reverence in a weird way. And I found that that was kind of like if we're showing all this culture in a way to honor it, you have this where there's like, no, this is a cautionary tale, but I'm happy to have this thing kind of thing, right? I thought that was, and it comes at a really good moment in the film as well. Like when you think it's about to wrap up, they really no, we got more to say, and I like that a lot.
We had a moment in Hell on Wheels when Tom Noonan's character showed the Swede a skull of a saber-toothed tiger, and the point of that scene was, we think we're discovering new land. This land has been here for a long time, and there's a lot of things that have come and gone, and there's a lot of things, like this land will take you, and so don't get too the hubris needs to be checked, because someone can take you out too, and then, it's always a scene that it stood out for me, and yeah, that Conquistador helmet kind of comes out of nowhere, and I love it. That's a very cool moment. Now, as for list worthy, obviously we think this is a Western. We think it's this should stay on the list, and it sounds like it's not going to be in the 78th position.
Actually,
on our list,
based on the score, I think it's number 1 actually. So
it may have dethroned Unforgiven, which is very possible and deserved.
Dave.
We have From movies off the list, Mark, is there anything off the list that that you would like to see put on this? Even not even in this vein, but just you went through the list and you sent me a text that said this IndieWire list is. Oh.
Yeah, I was because it's relevant. I'm sure a lot of smart people put it together. But, well,
Whatever you say
I,
after smart, a lot of smart people is just, okay.
Well,
no, they did a great list, but
from a purely personal point of view, there are like Wyatt Earp, in my opinion, is certainly top 100.
Oh yeah,
Kevin Costner.
Well, yeah, no bias, of course. But,
Yeah.
But yes. And then, did I mention another one to you?
Well, I'm looking right over your shoulder, and you have a couple posters from the movie Last of the Dogmen, which
would that qualify as a Western? I mean, I suppose.
I absolutely think it does. I had a clip of it in my opening intro on the first episode. I think it was shot here, so I'm a little biased towards it.
Yes.
Dave's cousin was in it. A lot of our friends were stunt people on it, and it definitely qualifies as a Western. It's a lot of these same themes of making contact with these ancient tribes and
becoming part of a lost world in a sense, and yes,
right, and that preservation of their way of life, and it's definitely one that if you like Dances with Wolves and you haven't seen Last of the Dogmen, they both have prominent mullets. It's that same era of 90s mullet. So I think it definitely is a worthwhile and great movie.
And it's definitely a romanticized version of the West, which the only place in my life I allow romanticism or sentimentality is movies, which is why I do love that almost as much as I love Dances with Wolves. So yes.
We weren't sure you were Irish until that sentence. So
there it is. Yeah.
I was like, where's the Yates or something like that. So.
A couple others I was thinking of. Last of the Mohicans we mentioned, and
I cannot believe that's not on there.
No,
it really is.
Michael Mann and Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm like, how is this not?
Yeah.
That said, is it a Western? Because it takes place in Albany.
Well, it's about Native Americans from that time period.
So that was the West at the moment.
I think it'd be like
Eastern.
Well, Eastern Western.
It'd be like There Will Be Blood. I love, you mentioned romanticism. I love when there isn't. For me, a Western, again, Unforgiven scores really high. The Proposition scored really high because I like it when it's man versus the environment, or PvPvE in game terms, I guess, where it's we're against each other, but also the environment is this, from the top rope comes, drought. But like it's I think The Last Mohicans is one of those where it's a Western, but it's not, good guy, bad guy, either side of the okay corral, let's do this. Like,
right. It is much more complex. Yes. Yeah.
Another World, or the New World, Terrence Malick. A similar thing, again, not as Western, more the John Smith side of things.
Right. And that's one of the, like, it's a very beautiful film. It's not very accessible. If that makes sense. It's like, which is kind of common for a lot of Terrence Malick's.
I was going to say that you just described his whole filmography.
More of a Okay, well, I'll say in my top 50 movies, there's about 4 or 5 Westerns. One of them is not on this list, and it's a Terrence Malick movie, Days of Heaven.
I was going to say it, Days of Heaven. Yeah. Is that a Western? I
mean, how is that not a Western? It's maybe 20th century. Yeah. But I'm shocked that it's not on this list, and I don't know that I've mentioned it yet. It's similar setting to this, certainly a prairie setting, and
very much so,
and very beautiful, and maybe not as accessible. You're right.
I would say that's one of his more accessible movies. For sure, as even though it is, it has its moments for sure, but it has a very clear plot, I would say, whereas a lot of his more modern stuff kind of
Feels like he's just
Yeah,
trying-
and a great voiceover. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite voiceovers. If we're talking good voiceovers,
Well, it's like when I'm sitting here being like, when The Thin Red Line is one of your more accessible movies, I'm like, you've got a challenge in filmography there, mate. Given
That-
Lynch was on first
Because
place.
you brought it up, Cameron, it's interesting you say that. That is probably my least favorite voiceover. Days
oh
of Heaven.
really?
Oh,
I just think her voice is so wrong for that. This like
interesting.
streetwise, that's the only thing about that movie that I would change.
I wonder. Yeah, we'll make a version without voiceover and see.
like the Cameron Diaz of Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite that bad.
Yeah. Well, she definitely has a way of speaking this, and she was playing a kid, but she was a lot older, and I think she's trying to kind of kid up her voice a bit. But I do love the cadence of it, and I love how calming it is in the storm of the movie. I get it. I get it.
I know what you're saying. I think it's mainly it's her voice specifically that kind of rubs me away. I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Two others that I thought of very quickly. There was a 2017 movie called Woman Walks Ahead. It was about a woman that goes out to the prairies to paint a portrait of Sitting Bull. It's again just just worth mentioning. I don't think it's a top 100, but it's that same kind of early contact, end of the era, two cultures meeting in the middle. It's a nice, lovely little. I think it's Jessica Chastain.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And The Homesman. Have you guys seen The Homesman, directed by Tommy Lee Jones?
No.
Starring Hilary Swank. I was reminded of this one by the crazy Maury Chaykin, that idea of prairie madness. The plot line of The Homesman is that they're trying to make a go of it on the frontier. Three of the women have lost their minds, and results of maybe a miscarriage or just prairie madness, or there's a few kind of circumstances, but they've lost their minds, and they want to hire a man from the community to put them in a wagon and take them back east. They found a mental institution that will take these women away. Incredible cast: Hilary Swank, Jesse Plemons. Is it William Fincher?
Yeah,
and Tommy Lee Jones. Hilary Swank is a strong, independent woman out on the prairie by herself. None of the men will take these women. She volunteers to do it. And then along the way, she picks up Tommy Lee Jones, and the two of them take these women back. It's devastating. It's very good, very well shot. And he kind of plays with this idea of how the prairie, how being alone out there can kind of drive you crazy, which I think they were up against a lot in Dances with Wolves.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're all a little mad up here. So
It's a valid point. Yeah.
There's a reason why we're out here. All right. I think that's all for that. I'm going to quickly mention next episode. We're going to number 51 on the list. 1959's winter western, Day of the Outlaw, directed by Andre de Toth, starring Robert Ryan, Burl Ives, Tina Louise. It's 92 minutes. It's free on Tubi and Plex, at least in Canada. This is spoiler alert, this is one of my favorite westerns of all time. It's one of the ones on my top 50 list. It's a winter western. It's bleak. It's almost noir. I really love it. I hope it's enjoyed here too.
Tune in next week when in 2 weeks when you watch Cameron's face drop when Dave gives it 2.5.
Yeah. When I've hinged this whole list on you guys loving this movie. So is that one any of you guys have seen? Have you seen that one?
I haven't watched it yet.
I've never seen it. If it's on Tubi, I'm definitely going to check it out.
Well, you got 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks to check it out before next episode. So, yeah, it's definitely one of the
Tune in to watch Cameron cry. No, like it's
I'll be so sad if no one likes it. It's based on a book. I'm currently reading the book too.
no, you said noir, and I was like, okay, that's a genre I'm in for. So
it's very tense and taut, and Burl Ives is incredible in it. It really is cool. Okay, let's talk about quickly, Dave. Where can we find you? What's going on in your world?
Oh, all the things all the time. Sundays
all over YouTube.
Yeah, all over the YouTubes. Sundays you can find me on Spill the Geek Tea at Spill the Geek T1. Tuesdays, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, talking about Doctor Who. First Thursday of every month, along with Cameron and Scott. YouTube.com/@Happiness Patrol Show, where we talk about something that makes us happy, and that something is Star Wars. For the first season at least. But will the second season bring? You'll just have to subscribe to find out. And in between all that, you can find me at the Rathole DOTCA. That's the rathole.ca, but YouTube does not like URLs in their URLs. And that's
right. And Scott, where are you in this world?
Breakfast Scotch National, like always. Pawn and Pixel we have something cooking. We're going to film it in December, and then that'll start going up in January. We're also cooking. I'm hoping to get Dave and Cameron and maybe even Mark to come out. And we got something working on in the behind the scenes along these lines, but no spoilers yet. So I'm looking forward. I'm slowly putting that document together. Mark, where do we find you?
Where do you find me? Instagram at SkymanBlue. It's my primarily just photography, but also tracking down movie locations when I'm in the right place for that.
That's really cool.
And on Letterboxd.
I forgot I was. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's Letterboxd, which I only recently went back on there again. So Mizzen Man is my username over on Letterboxd.
I want to give a special shout out to your Instagram because it's easily one of my favorite Instagram accounts in the world. Mark is not only a location scout for movies that are about to shoot, he is like a forensic location scouter. Mark will find the locations for all these things that have shot, not just in Calgary, you've gone all over the world with this, but the amount of times he sent me a screenshot of an actor standing in front of the corner of a building or like a back alley, and he's just like, where do you think this is? And then we have to like, luckily I've lived in Calgary my whole life, and sometimes I know, and sometimes I'm on the shows that you bring up, but some of the most amazing things, like I remember when you found the locations for the reflecting skin.
That was one of the toughest ones that I did initially. Yeah,
because it blew my mind.
Completely middle of nowhere. Yeah,
it's middle of nowhere. It's like a road and a tree and a mountain peak a million miles in the distance, and somehow you found that exact location. The barn was gone, but the roof of the barn was on the ground.
Was still there. Yes, yeah.
And there was a vehicle, like an old rusty truck.
Yeah,
that was basically in the exact same position.
It was just turned the other way for some reason.
Yeah,
but it was still there. Yeah,
like 40 years later. I don't know how you do it. It's amazing.
Sounds like Picture Butte.
Yeah,
so like Southern Alberta. You just summed up in a whole sentence.
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's amazing. Incredible. I mean, Mark, you grew up in Ireland on the other side of the world. You've easily seen more parts of Alberta and Calgary and BC than any of us combined. You've gone all the way to the Arctic and, all through the States. It's wonderful to watch. I love it.
Also, based on when you zoomed in there, if I'm correct, you fought Freddy Krueger as well. I think that's Robert Englund above your corner. Yeah, I noticed that while we zoomed in. I was like, oh, that's and Halloween on your other end. So
and then I have Jason before he was resurrected from his watery grave right there.
Oh, that's fantastic. No, I've been watching and then when we zoomed in, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Robert Englund. So
And currently, how many laser discs in the collection?
Laser discs. Whoa! For the kids at home,
this is just what I have at hand right here. I'm gonna say 500.
Oh my god!
So there was 500 of those things made.
Yeah. For the people
probably-
at home, Laserdisc is like a really big CD or DVD in this case.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And every now and then you got to flip them. It's great.
Every now and then.
Yeah, you got to, that's a perfect opportunity to go get a snack as well. So,
Intermission.
yeah,
Exactly. You get that intermission back.
Cameron,
All right. Well,
where can we find you, Cameron?
Oh, well, I'm here. I'm here on Horses on Film, and we've got horsesonfilm.com. We've got a Gmail account. If you want to send us an email, it's horsesonfilm@gmail.com. Let us know what's your favorite Western, what's missing from this list. Like, we're getting so many nice comments and stuff. It's really been great. It's been great because these things are airing now, and we're getting a little bit of engagement. And I mean, really, I'm just doing it as an excuse to get Mark out here to talk about movies. It's the only reason why I started this in the first place. So the fact that anyone's watching is a real nice treat. And so, yeah, we've got an Instagram here. It's Horses on Film podcast. And on that, I'll put these little intro videos that I'm talking about. So if you're only listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go to that Instagram, Horses on Film podcast, and you'll get to see every off Monday. I'll post the video for what's coming up next Monday. And yeah, just here we are. It's Groundhog Day, and we're doing it again and again and again. And another one of my favorite movies of all time, Groundhog Day. And I can't wait to do this again. Mark, I can't wait to have you back. You've also got Days of Heaven, Heaven's Gate in your top 4 on Letterboxd. And
I do.
The Heaven's Gate is number 100 on this list. It barely made it, and I think it's an underrated masterpiece.
And I think it probably only made it for the wrong reasons as well.
Oh, perhaps.
I've never seen it, but everything I know about it is all for the wrong reasons. So
to quote Martin Short in Three Amigos, it's infamous, meaning it's more famous.
Right.
All right. Thank you, everybody. That's our show, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
For one of the best Westerns ever made, Day of the Outlaw.
Thank you.